Kavita Krishnan is our citizen journalist. She is an activist and a regular user of social media. She's also someone who's been harassed, trolled and also threatened on social media. She's here on the show asking for accountability, not only from the law enforcement agencies, but also from the third-party platforms of social media.
I'm Kavita Krishnan and I've turned a citizen journalist today for CJ+. I'm a political activist and a women's rights activist, and I of course express myself a lot on social media. And on social media, I, as well as other women who express themselves there, are often targeted specifically for their sexuality, and there's an attempt to shame them for their sexuality. And I think that it's really time for all of us to say that the shame is not ours. The shame should belong to those who think that they can abuse us and abuse our mothers over our by making every debate about our sex lives. I have faced cyber harassment several times, including rape threats and threats of violence and death threats and so on. Some days ago, I had written an article about the way in which women students in universities like JNU or Jadavpur are profiled as being, sexually promiscuous. And in a comment on that article, somebody had said, "Would your mother have free sex?" And I had, of course, responded by saying, yes, my mother would, and I hope so would yours, because what does free sex mean? It's a meaningless term, because every kind of sex should be free. Any sexual act that is not free is rape. Then my mother also had pitched in, basically to show, in her mind it was there that neither she nor I should be made to feel ashamed over this. The idea is for all of us to start saying that if you're having a political argument with a woman, then keep the argument political. Make political arguments. Don't start talking about her morality or her sex life or her mother's sex life or her daughter's sex life. I collected about, I think, close to 50 comments on Twitter and Facebook about my skin color. So several of them are terribly racist. First times that I faced a threat of violence was chat on Rediff, and it was a chat about the rape law. And someone had entered the chat and repeatedly threatened me with rape. And that was one of the first times it was happening, so I found it quite disconcerting and quite, I was upset that Rediff had allowed that person to enter the chat and continuously post those comments. But after that, when I tried to make a complaint to the police about it, I found that it involved quite a lot of wasted time on my part and wasted energy on my part. Because at the end of the day, after months, they really couldn't locate who it was. They said, oh, the server is somewhere outside the country, so we couldn't find who it was. And eventually, I had to find time to go to court and support the police in saying, well, let the case now be closed. I have tried reporting to Twitter or Facebook, but even that experience hasn't been great, because I've found that even if someone's making a really graphic threat saying, describing what kinds of objects should be pushed into my body, I found that these social media platforms tend to say, well, it doesn't violate our community standards, or we don't recognize this as violence. If you feel threatened, you can go to the police. Another thing I've noticed is that, for instance, language. The fact that a lot of the abuse you get is not in English. It could be in Hindi, it could be in other, in Tamil or Malayalam or anything like that. And I think there also, the idea that Facebook seems to be unable to catch the registers of speech in other languages. And so it seems singularly unable to recognize abuse or threats in other languages but English. The question is whether the laws we have, the cyber laws we have, and the police system as it is really equipped to deal with the kind of cyber abuse and cyber violence that we face today. I would say to any woman who's facing trolling online. Don't let the trolls get into your head. Don't allow them to shame or silence you in any way. Don't give them that power over you. You may choose whether or not to report it. You may choose whether to ignore it or whether to respond with humor. But whatever you do, don't give them the power to silence you or to chase you off social media. Kavita Krishnan, citizen journalist for CNN News 18.